Living green or sustainably is about more than saving on your electric bill and doing your part to protect natural resources. It is about a safer and healthier life for you and your family without sacrificing style, quality, or budget. This is a movement to provide all of us with clean air to breathe and water to drink, safe, healthy food to eat and places to live, and energy to run the places where we live, learn, play, and work. The Green Gap podcast helps you get the value of green for you, your family, and your community. Whether it's green homes, green living, or the people who make it happen, join me, Marla Close, to learn how green and sustainability practices and products work for our world and you. It's Marla with the Green Gap podcast. I am the Green Home Coach, and if you listen to this show, you know I get all kinds of great opportunities to talk with amazing people in the home industry, the green industry, and really we're here all about helping you live better lives in your homes, in your life, at your company, and there's all kinds of people out there doing amazing things. And today it is Steve Spratt, and Steve is with a company called Home Preservation Services, and he has a fantastic website called Home Preservation Manual. And we connected a couple of years ago, didn't we, Steve?
We did, yeah, through a mutual friend, actually one of our clients.
There you go.
And very jazzed to have a chance to do something with you here.
Well, thank you. We're just excited as can be to have you here. And you are quite the expert in homeowner operations and maintenance. And tell us a little bit more about why.
Well, okay, so what's motivating me is people don't take very good care of their homes, and they seem to kind of take them for granted. And the home represents a couple of very important things, and most people might not be aware of that kind of go unnoticed most of the time. One, it represents value. It's a big investment. For most people, it may be their biggest investment ever. Two, it's a nurturing place, and it should be the place that you come home to every day. And it's where you get re-energized, where you can forget about the day and you can raise your family and all these things. So there's a value component and there's a nurture component. And what we're trying to do is help people to maximize their return on both aspects. And we do that by showing them how to take better care of their home. Does that make sense?
So say that again. You really struck a chord here. You said value. So helping people to maximize the value in their home and?
Yes.
And their investment in that is their value. What was the other thing you said?
The two aspects of home are...
Oh, the nurturing.
Yes, value and nurture.
I'm like, wait. And I love that because one of my very favorite phrases is that we really want a home that looks good and performs well. Because we don't want to spend all of our lives taking care of our homes.
And by doing that, doing the things to make those things happen, you can live better and have a higher value in your home too, which is the great return on a home. And it's one of the few investments that you can make that actually does that. So my goal as a person, and it's extended now into my company, is to make this happen for people because we're different people than our parents were. We're specialists now. Most of us are very, very good at what we are trained to do or have been educated to do, but we're becoming less and less handy, and we're less and less interested, or we have less and less time to devote to taking care of the nurturing aspect of the home. And that's where I think we're filling a gap right now, is we're providing those services for people who cannot do themselves. And that's maintaining the home properly. So the service we provide is 4 visits to the home every year, and we do a checklist of preventive maintenance tasks. Keep the home nice all the time.
So you're saying like I can get regularly scheduled service for my air conditioner or for my car? I can do that for my whole home?
Exactly.
Whoa, that's amazing.
And it's automatic. Everything is pre-scheduled. And we're on call 24/7 if you need extra help or something breaks down in between our visits. But that's the service that we provide. So the Home Preservation Manual is an attempt to deliver that service, what we do during that service, to everyone. Because right now,
to share the love, huh?
Share the love. Because right now we're located in Silicon Valley.
Okay.
We have 300 estates that we manage here, but the premise works everywhere.
Right.
And it's just that we can't be everywhere for people. But if you can take our philosophy from the Home Preservation Manual website, you can find your own resources in certain areas, wherever you happen to be, and achieve the same thing. So we're after improving the value and improving the nurturing quality of the home. So value, if I can get off on a little bit of a tangent here, what does value mean in your home? Okay, we know it's expensive.
Right.
But it's an investment that is not liquid.
Okay.
They're a very, very valuable, stable investment, but they are not liquid. So in finance terms, a liquid investment is more valuable than a non-liquid investment. So if you're going to have maximum value in your home, you have to keep it in the condition that it can be marketed quickly.
Right.
That means it has to be in good shape. That means it has to be in the condition that it would be able to be sold in all the time. So most people wait until they have to sell, and then they realize, oh, I've got to fix up my home so it can sell. And then there's time, there's a lot of surprises and a lot of cost, and none of that gets to be enjoyed by the person selling the home.
Which affects the nurturing.
Which affects the nurturing part of the home. So this all feeds together. So keeping the home nice has big payback to you. One, the home is more valuable, and two, the home is more nurturing to you and your family. And let's face it, after a hard day, I want to come home to my house and kick back and maybe watch a football game or something, but I don't want to have a checklist of to-do items to work on. So anyway, that's the premise. Now, there's an awful lot that goes into making that happen, but we've developed checklists that are very easy to follow, and those are available on the website.
Just downloaded mine.
And awesome. And they've been tested and used for almost 30 years now, so we know they work. Do those checklists and you'll be in good shape. That's
awesome. So we will make sure to put a link in the show notes to those downloads so that everybody that listens to us, you too, can get your downloads as well. And they're month by month, if I remember correctly. Right, Steve?
I have posted up month-to-month versions, and they're very easy to follow. And if you have questions, you can send questions in. But they're very effective. And I know it's another checklist to do. But if you can get a few resources in your area, you can turn them over to those people, and usually they can get them done for you. So anyway, that's the idea. I'm trying to get people to take better care of their homes.
Well, and we live in a convenience society. We live in a throwaway society. So I think that's a concept that's kind of counterintuitive for a lot of what's happening in our culture. And I do think there is a renaissance towards taking care of things and making them last longer, and our homes are definitely part of that. But I do know, just from my work in the home inventory industry and with the green certification programs that I've worked with over the years, there is this kind of overwhelm that can happen really easily with our homes just because there's so many parts to it. And if you don't have a system and some way of organizing all that, it's easy to see how you could get overwhelmed.
Oh.
But like anything else, the system helps, right?
Well, exactly. I mean, the American dream is the American home, right?
Right.
I mean, we live in a country where we all have an opportunity to own one if we work hard and are diligent. And so it is the manifestation of the American dream. And though I think we all strive for that, but we don't realize the responsibilities that are involved.
What we're signing up for.
That's right. And they're big. And so in the website, there's a whole section on recognizing and understanding the responsibilities of home ownership.
Wow.
And so you can kind of get a good feel for what it's going to be going in if you read that. And not only that, but it helps you just develop a strategy for ownership. And so that immediately going in, you will get some clues on what to expect and how you should go about taking care of this wonderful dream and investment that you've made. And don't be fooled by brand new homes. I just had a brand new home built for myself year before last, and I've been documenting all the issues that come up with that.
They're with you. We were in a very similar situation.
Yeah, and it's surprising. I mean, I'm a builder, and I had this wonderful new home built, and we did everything right down to the punch list, but things happen. And so you can't fall asleep on this big investment because it will slowly deteriorate or very subtly deteriorate before your eyes.
And it's easy to happen. It's easy for a few things to get out of control, and then it easily takes over. And I think that's probably most daunting. I think a lot of us kind of are out of sight, out of mind people, and it's hard to let that happen with a home.
It is, but having a checklist ready to go and just following it can take a lot of the stress away. A lot of times it's just not knowing, what do I do? Well,
isn't that true?
Yeah. So now you know.
So you said something a few moments ago that I really wanted to come back and zone in on a little bit more. You said that your goal was to help people create a strategy for taking care of their homes. And just in a few sentences, what's the crux and the central element of that strategy? What's the most important key points?
Well, if you have a brand new home, the strategy should be to keep it as close to brand new as possible. If you don't have a brand new home, or you're starting with a home that's 5 or 10 or 15 years old, what you need to do is decide, hey, here's the theory. The theory is my home is at maximum value when it is in the condition that it needs to be in to be sold. So how do I get it there? And do I want to get it there? If you don't want to get it there, you forget everything about what I've said or that.
Yeah.
And I think there are people out there like that. But
I would agree.
If you want to maximize your investment in this home, then that would be your goal. Set a goal. And the goal is to get this home from where it is now to sellable condition. And to do that, you're going to need to have an inspection on your home, and a very good inspection. And then you're going to have to look at that and whatever is called out on the inspection, and probably going to need to talk to a realtor also, because they'll tell you, say, hey, if you're going to sell this home, you got to have good looking paint, your yard's got to look right, do all this stuff. So
the maximum impact project.
And that's what I mean by a strategy.
Okay.
Name your strategy and be very honest with yourself. I want this home to be marketable at all times. That's when it's the most valuable. And by the way, when it's in that condition, it's also the most fun to live in because everything works.
Right. You're getting all the perks for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. It looks great. It feels good to come home to. So be honest with yourself and say, I want to do that, or I don't want to do that. If you do want to do that, then you have to just move your home from where it is to where that is. And that's usually an inspection. And there'll be a checklist on that inspection of things to do. And you start working on that. And that's going to there's no doubt, have some cost associated with it. So you're going to have to budget and see, okay, well, there's my goal is to get the house into marketable condition. I'm going to give myself 1 year to do that. Here's the checklist. Here are the estimates. And away we go. So
they got a couple of questions I want to dig into, but let's take a real quick breather. And when we come back, we are going to dig in more on this whole idea of cost and planning on how we take care of our homes. So stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back. This is Marla Close. I am the Green Home Coach, and I have the beautiful opportunity to write Living Green Effortlessly, Simple Choices for a Better Home. One of the things that I really love talking about in here is the importance of homeowner education, documentation, and maintenance, because this is all reliant about how well our home serves us rather than it serving or we serving it. So I wanted to just take a brief moment and do a quick reading from my book in chapter 6. As a homeowner, you've taken on a big responsibility. The good news is that there are many of us out here offering you a hand with learning what to do, keeping track of what you need to do, and documenting all that you have done. Maintenance tasks are part of every homeowner's life. Whether you live in a castle or a cave, it's an investment of your time that pays back huge dividends and saves you lots of money down the road, and makes you money when it's time to sell your house. So why do maintenance? It's the smart thing to do. As you can see in this book, There's maintenance checklists on page 94 if you've got the book. Documentation keeps you organized and sane. When you keep track of what you need to do and write down what you have done, you can sleep well at night knowing that the roof is not going to leak and the air conditioner will keep on blowing sweet, cool air. Want to read more? You can get my book at livinggreenbook.com. Thanks again. Marla Close, the Green Home Coach, signing out. Well, back on the Green Gab with Marla today and Steve of Home Preservation Services and Home Preservation Manual.
I love that Green Gab.
Green Gab, yeah. I'm a gabby person, so it kind of fits. My husband will attest to that. And my mother and my sisters and my friends. But, we've actually had, I guess we've known each other a couple of years now. I wanted to just kind of bring our listeners in because it's been really extraordinary to get to know you, because I started out in the home inventory, documentation, and maintenance tracking side with green home certification. And then I met you, and it was great because you're like the information side to my resource side. And so you and I just really found a lot of commonalities when we were talking about all this.
Well, your resources are really cool. I mean, you've put together quite a assembly of resources for this, getting this stuff done, and the appliance manufacturer. I mean, it's incredible what you've done there.
Well, thank you. It was a labor of love. And for listeners that don't know, I have a tool in Green Home Coach called HomeNap, which is this compendium of resources that go very nicely hand in hand with the information and the depth that Steve's product offers online. So Home Preservation Manual is chock full of information about how to do things and what it means and the basic education on all aspects of a home. Did I miss anything there, Steve?
Well, it's interesting. The information that we're putting out on Home Preservation Manual is more like an encyclopedia of why you should do something as opposed to how to do it. There are millions of how to do's on just about every subject you can imagine. If you want to change the headlight on your GMC pickup, there's a video of how to do it. And we're less about that than we are about why you should do it. Here are the real reasons you should be doing these things. I come from the place that nobody's going to do all this stuff. So that's why I started Home Preservation Services, so we could do it for people so it could get done. But there are lots of how-tos out there. Our website is more about why you should do it, and giving you some good, hard statistics about that and keeping that big home. We see ourselves more as real estate asset managers than handymen.
That's a good way to describe it. Do you know the 5 myths of green homes? These 5 things you probably believe about green homes may be costing you thousands of dollars. Which myth do you hear the most? I'm Marla Close, the Green Home Coach, and I want you to have 5 myths of green homes so you can learn how this knowledge can help you get more business and set yourself apart. If you're ready to learn even more about green homes and features, check out my What Makes a Green Home Green audio program. This program will help you find and sell the value of green homes and features in your clients' homes and projects. Check it out at greenhomecoach.com and click on the link for 5 myths of green homes. Again, that's greenhomecoach.com and click on 5 myths of green homes. 5 myths of green homes are 5 things that you probably believe about green homes that may be costing you thousands of dollars. Which myth do you hear the most? Get your copy of 5 myths at greenhomecoach.com and click on the button for 5 myths of green homes. You can also connect with me on Facebook at Green Home Coach and let me know the green home myth you hear the most. I'll also share tips, products, and resources. Be sure to download your copy of 5 Myths of Green Homes now and then check back to learn more. So we also were talking before our break about costs. And obviously we all need some kind of maintenance budget for our homes. As much as we want to stick our heads in the sand and just assume everything will work, it doesn't. Things need to be maintained, they need to be replaced, they need to be repaired. So how do you suggest when you're helping to talk about this whole budget idea. How do you suggest people start with this? How do they go about planning for what is going to be inevitable in the upkeep and upgrading of our homes to get that maximum value and the maximum nurture?
Well, let's see. First, it's much less expensive to keep the home in top condition than it is to allow things to break and then try to bring it back. It's hugely expensive to do that, enormously. The financial models that I've seen are preventive maintenance is so valuable that it actually is considered an income producing act as opposed to a cost. And that's not even taking into account the cost of disasters. So good preventive maintenance is going to prevent most disasters from happening. When I say a disaster, it would be like, say, by servicing your refrigerator all the time, you're going to prevent the water filler line from coming loose and flooding your kitchen and ruining your wood floors and all that. So those kind of disasters can be avoided. So not even taking those into account, the value of good preventive maintenance is astronomical. So I have on the website a lot of information statistically about that. So it isn't just anecdotal.
So do you suggest people set aside a savings account or a budget, or how do people get started with this?
Yeah, there's always going to be some replacement costs, or things are going to wear out and you're going to have to replace those. So it is great to set aside some money for those kinds of things and just have that in I guess what we'd call a sunk cost, and put it in a little investment account. And on the website, there's a formula for that. And we base it on the square footage of the house. So the bigger the home, the more you should probably put aside, mainly because there are more appliances, there are more furnaces, more whatever, more equipment, a bigger roof. So, but it's not a lot of money. Essentially, I think maybe allow a couple $1,000s a year for the average home to put aside. And, over 10 years, that's 20 grand for, a roof or whatever happens. It's a good habit to put in place, a good tool. So yes, that's there. I don't happen to have that page in front of me, but yeah, it's a good part of the website.
So when somebody first starts using your website, Home Preservation Manual, how do you recommend they start? With a specific topic they're trying to learn more about? Or is there like a start here and get an intro kind of way to introduce themselves to it? And I get it, it's probably going to vary somewhat by what someone's trying to accomplish.
The first place they should visit, I think there's a page called My Home. And you can go there and you can learn about your home. And that's the first thing you need to know. If you buy a brand new car, the first thing you should do is read the manual, right? Nobody does.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, right?
But at least you walk around the car and you look at, oh, these are nice. This is nice. And you maybe push a few buttons on the inside till you figure out how it all works and stuff. People need to do that with their home. People need to do a walk around their home, look at it, learn where the shutoffs are, where's the water shutoff, where's the electrical shutoff, how do those work, record them if they haven't been so that you know where they are in an emergency. Learn about your home.
And not just when you're walking through it for closing or when you're moving in. Walking around it thoroughly once you're settled and can pay attention to it is really important, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
I just remember walking through when we bought our home and we're walking through with our closeout crew. Yeah, there's 6 billion things going through my head. And, 2 weeks later, we're like, wait, what did they say?
Yeah, how do you use it?
Where is that information? And fortunately, we had a book, Cobbler's Child. My own home was not in my own tool in HomeNav when we bought it. But it was so many things. And like our water shutoff is in a really bizarre place.
Well,
and
if you don't know that,
if somebody was in our home and had to shut off the water, they wouldn't know.
Exactly. And there's a lot of people who don't even know how to use the appliances properly. They don't know how to turn the thermostats on and off.
That happened the other day. I was helping my dad in his new house, and he's like, it was freezing in there. And he's, Dad, let's turn the heat on. He goes, I don't know how. Sorry, Dad, if you're listening. But we figured it out together. But it was a new thermostat that neither one of us had ever been exposed to before.
But there is actually a checklist in the website, and it shows you how to get familiar with your home.
I love that.
And there are certain things that you should record. And
yeah,
there are important things that should be like on display too. So if you're away, or if you have babysitters in the house or house sitters or something like that. So if something happens, they actually have that important information in front of them. Now,
so instead of Airbnb rules for the house, it's your own rules for the house.
Exactly. Yes. It's okay. You can have some.
Right.
Well, then once you know the house, then it's like, okay, well, now I know how to use the house. How do I take care of it? And there are, all the recommendations for that is there. But yeah, I mean, it's a huge investment. I don't understand why people seem to take them for granted so much. Here's an example, okay? The average home in our area is outrageously expensive.
Well, yeah, you're in Northern California.
In the San Francisco area, we're talking about the average home is over $1 million, okay? If you put $1 million in your investment retirement account and you went and looked at it a year later and it was worth $950,000, and 2 years later it was worth $900,000, you'd be kind of upset about that, right?
Right. You'd be concerned.
But people do that to their homes all the time. They'll spend $1 million and then they'll not do anything with it. And sure, the value may be increasing, but compared to their neighbor, I'll tell you what, if you don't take as good a care of your home as your neighbor, you're not going to get as much money as your neighbor if you go to sell it. So the comparative value is diminished. And I don't know anybody who does that to their cash assets or their investment assets, but they sure do it to their home.
And I think part of that is likely wrapped up in the fact that we see our homes in so many different ways. And we see our homes as a shelter. We see our homes as a refuge. We see our homes as an investment. We see our homes as a money sink. I mean, there's just so many conflicting ways that we view our homes. And you almost have to wonder, we seem to be something in a trend right now where we're so specialized and people don't know how to do so many things. And when we hosted the one-day construction career fair here in Oklahoma City back in October for high school students, it was amazing to see how many high school age students did not know how to hammer a nail, drive a screw, simple things that many of our generation was taught as kids, working alongside dad or big brother or a neighbor. And even I'm from a family of all girls and we even knew the basics. But there's a trend away from hiring somebody to do everything, and it's very specialized. And I also have to wonder, there seems to be a fairly sizable trend towards renting. And I have to wonder if part of that is because that way they don't have to worry about the maintenance and the upkeep and all the things that go along with it.
Well, it is, yeah. Over the last few generations, it's not just that, but the single family homes have become larger and more complex.
Definitely more complex, yes.
And they're definitely more valuable. But here's the thing, if you have one, the embedded resources that went into making that home are so rare and so valuable and so diminishing that morally you owe taking care of it. Okay. I mean, if nothing else.
I'm right there with you. I'm just not sure the rest of the world gets it yet.
The trees that go in there, in the manual, there's also an article on how many trees it takes to build a home.
Yeah. And that's unbelievable.
It is.
But at least a tree is a renewable resource, but we got to keep planting them in order to keep that true.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that's where we're at.
Okay. Well, you and I could talk about this all day. Not going to do that to our listeners. So give me your top 2 or 3 takeaways that you want to leave our listeners with.
Learn about your house. It's not that intimidating. There are important things about this investment that you need to know about. If you're going to own one, you have a responsibility to take good care of it. Taking care of it on a regular basis is much cheaper and easier than waiting for things to break. Be proactive, not reactive. And when you do that, you'll be able to use that home as a place to come home to re-energize and recharge and be ready to go out and do whatever you do to your best. So
a house that you can run as opposed to a house that runs you, huh?
Exactly. Exactly. Enjoy it. That's what it's for.
Enjoy it. That is what it is all about. And I love the fact that you've shared so much great information with our listeners to help them enjoy their homes better and to preserve that really valuable resource that is our home.
Well, thank you for inviting me to spend some time with you. This is really cool.
Thank you. And we will post the link to Home Preservation Manual in the show notes, as well as some of the other references that we spoke about. And I just can't thank you enough for helping us to get a better understanding of why taking care of our homes is just so, so important.
Do it. Tell your friends.
Just do it. I love it. Just do it. Well, hey, thank you so much, Steve. And I appreciate everybody that has listened to this. Please, if you get a moment, leave us a review, subscribe to the podcast. The more interaction we get with you, our listeners, the more we can spread this out to the world. And as always, check out the show notes and let us know what you think, and have a great green day. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, Marla.
That wraps up this episode of the Green Gab podcast. Ready to use what you learned? Get the show notes with all the resources mentioned in this episode. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. Thank you again for listening and for leaving a review. And remember that living a little greener is easier than you think.